Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, something new. Yeah, a look at what's going on with my trees. Welcome everyone to the backyard of Dave's Bonsai. We've got the PSGF over to my right, your left, and behind me, what's left on the bench, all the hardy trees. I've got some fun trees to show you today. I've got some interesting trees to show you today. You know, we've been on the road trip showing you all kinds of footage from that, and I've been showing you some Bonsai Acres. For updates on either of those, check my playlist. Well, I'll put one up right there for you to check if you want to see what's going on at Bonsai Acres and or the road trip. Now, let's show you some things that are going on in my bonsai world. Now, first up, I have one of my slab plantings and one of my red firebush trees. So the slab planting is doing well. Things have slowed down now that we're getting into fall, and the red leaves are getting redder and redder by the week, if not every few days. Now, the lower leaves are a little bit more burgundy color, but the tippy tops are getting a little bit bright red. Now let me show you some cuttings that I have acquired that are this same tree, but boy, are they showing off their beauty. Look at that, everybody. The one on the right, such brilliant red. The left has lost a few leaves, but red as well. We got a little bit of mix in the back there with the back tree. Got some green left. Then we've got some of the lighter and darker red. So the firebush is fun tree for a bonsai. Now these are cuttings that I acquired. I don't remember from who. They might have been collected. Yamadori style, so urban Yamadori. I'm kind of drawing a blank, but these are looking beautiful. I hope the other tree catches up in the next couple of days. Now, all the tropical trees are in the greenhouse, the green frame, the PSGF, but are they? So just today I got back from up north with my son Toby. Yep, Toby's back in town and we went up to see Bonsai Acres together. That show's coming up in a couple of episodes. But then as I was walking through my garden today, I found a tropical still on the bench. Now it's down in my plant room to recover a little bit. I figured I'd go right there from in here to just make one transition after I fried some of the leaves. Now we've not hit 32 or less yet in my backyard, so I hope they're okay, but a couple of leaves were not liking me. But let me show you what else I discovered as I was watering here moments before I turned on my camera. So as I come over here to this odd section where I have a couple of trees, look what's right there in the sunshine. Yeah, I've got a cutting, or that is the original Schefflera from my mother-in-law. Dave, what is it still doing outside? We gotta bring that into the PSGF right now. I can't forget to do this stuff or I'm gonna keep losing trees. Let's put it down right here and let's open up the PSGF. And oh, this is gonna go into some heat and some humidity. Oh, look at that. Well, we're gonna have to change the aperture setting. We'll get in here later though. We'll put this thing on a shelf right now. I've had a few people post in my videos that I'm the hardest working man in bonsai. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I will give you this hint. As you get busier in this hobby and busier in life while you're involved in this busy hobby, you still have to take time to focus on your trees. And so one of the things that Jonas Dupuis pointed out a couple of months ago when he was here to judge the Minnesota State Fair show that we have every year, he said in one of our workshops, your collection, your trees are as good as what you bring in. And if I have like 150 trees back here and I'm not even looking at 50 of them on any given day, I'm not paying attention to them, well then my trees are gonna be kind of shoddy, you know? So I'm really thinking about lessening my collection and getting down to maybe 50 trees instead of over 100 that I think I want to create into a bonsai. But I have so many ideas, I get so excited, I get so into it. But I'm learning, of course, that the more I do with Bonsai Acres now up north, and I'm back to work, of course, because it's fall, and there's family, of course, commitments. I shouldn't have said that third, but you know, you're busy. And when you're this busy, you forget things. So don't forget your Schefflera out there on the bench as it starts to get colder. You've got to keep after your trees and take a peek at them and keep them in their best health. Now, something that comes up completely opposite of that discussion is how we keep our trees getting bigger faster. And you can see all kinds of video on the YouTube, and you can find ways to make your trunk get faster. And by far one of the best ways, which is why I have trees up at Bonsai Acres, is to put trees in the ground. So if you're going to have trees that are native to your neck of the woods, keep them in the ground for 5 to 10 years, you're going to have a really cool bonsai one day. Now there's all kinds of challenges to put them in the ground, and things grow fast, and are they growing where you want them to grow? You still have to check them and maybe prune them, leave sacrificial branches. All that coming up with future Bonsai Acres episodes. But you really should put some trees in the ground. So if you have a garden area in your yard and you have some trees that are just maybe seeds falling from the neighbor's maple like I have, and you let trees grow in the ground for 3, 4, 5 years before you even consider putting them into a bonsai pot. So I want to show you a couple examples today that's going on in my yard, because I've had them in the ground for a while. And they're not intended to be bonsai per se, but hey, if I can get permission one day, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, permission, maybe I could turn some of these big monsters into a bonsai. Now this one's growing so big, I don't know. And which one am I talking about? This guy right next to me. So look at this beautiful willow bush. Now these grow like weeds and it's like a willow tree, but wait till I show you the massive trunk on this one, because it's been in the ground for about 5 to 7 years. Here is the base of the willow that was planted 5 to 6 years ago, and here I come in now with my hand. And here's my hand at the base of this thing. Look at that, everybody. That's almost 8 inches in diameter all the way around. Now there's a big old trunk here. There's a big one with some curve back here. These two are actually braiding around each other, and there's one back here. Now, I didn't intend on making this a bonsai, but of course it's always in the back of my mind. Got a big old flaring root down here and some great root spread. This could be really fun to dig out of the ground and make a bonsai. So if you want to put a willow bush in the ground, put it in the ground and look at this. This is about 5 to 7 years later. And again, my hand, I can't even wrap my hand all the way around that. That is so cool. Hey, I got something else to show you too. Now it's super sunny today, so we got the way overexposed green frame and way overexposed benches over there, but I hope you can see me. So now, if you all have followed me for a couple of years, you'll know that before those bonsai benches were there, that whole fence line of my neighbors, that was all I forgot the name of them. We have to time, cut. This next part of my story has to do with what used to be there. Yeah, those were a big old row of lilac trees, and I dug them out. Now, someone recently said, hey, Dave, can you give us an update on the big one, the big lilac one? Last year, after taking away some lilacs from the backyard, it was just sitting back by a fence, these 2 clumps, and it grew all summer long, got new buds and everything. They do grow like weeds. And so I put them into this crate and thought, hey, I'm gonna mess with this a little bit. Let me show you the only before shot I have before I started drumming all this in the last couple of days. I drumbled some dead, like a hollowed out trunk here, some hollowed out here, and some dead stuff. And even this one right here. This was a nice little, just a little bit of an indent here. So I went back here and I drilled back there. And here we go. Made a hollow log out of that. Poked it through right here. So here we have it. The biggest thing is we have to get it into a pot. So I think this pot will be just big enough. We're gonna see if we can make it work. And remember, this is one of those projects that I love to do because it totally shows that you don't need a lot of money to do bonsai. You don't need expensive material necessarily, although that would be nice someday to work on. Experiment on the cheap stuff. Experiment on the free stuff. This is a fast-growing tree, and so I can do all kinds of stuff to it. I cut it up. I make cuts I probably wouldn't do on other trees, to try to learn and then see what's going to happen. It responds really well, so it's a good teaching tree. So find something cheap and easy, and don't be afraid to make some cuts and work on your bonsai. This is as much an art form as anything else, and beauty in the eye of the beholder, right? So you do what you like to do. I had a great time working on this one. This has been a long one in process. I started drumming a couple days ago, just off and on work, and I'm glad to get out of that box and get it into what resembles a bonsai pot. And sadly, it's gone. Yeah, the big lilac didn't survive. My lilac experiments haven't worked well, and people have said they can be a little finicky and they're hard. And my big one, I was so excited about getting that thing into a bonsai someday and having a lilac bloom. Didn't happen. Now, part of that problem might be the fungus that's going around. So in about 2018 to 20, somewhere in there, the University of Minnesota discovered some kind of general fungus. I've talked about it on previous shows, and it's a fungus to your common lilac tree, and they're having a tough time treating it. And so you cut down the trees down to nothing, hope it all is out of the system. You can maybe treat with some insecticidal soap, fungicidal soaps maybe in the root system and hope it takes care of it. And if it doesn't, and you want new lilac trees, you have to start all over. So now back behind my past solar green frame and the wall over on that side of my yard is still all lilacs. But if you can tell by the brown shed of my neighbor over there, we cut down about a third of our lilacs this late summer, early fall, because there's just so many brown leaves, and it's just, I think the fungus is there, and we might have to start all over with our background tall plants. But way back when I started the big lilac project in the bonsai crate and made room for my bonsai pots, I dug up a couple trees and saved them, and guess what? They're still in the ground, and they're still alive. Now it's super bright and super windy, but let's show you, this is one of the lilacs. Now it was a tree and I chopped it this year because this one also is showing some hints of the brown fungus issue. But look at all the back budding on this amazing lilac tree. It was one stalk, and look at all those suckers coming up. So lilacs are like that, and I think I can cut this way back, I can dig it out of the ground and maybe turn it into a bonsai tree. So I'm gonna cut it really severely here in late fall, really severely. We'll let it grow back in the spring, let it do what it does, and we might dig it up for a bonsai in the near future. But there is tree number one that was planted in the ground about 5 years ago, and I made those other benches. Now this one is still tall, and it had kind of a lollipop top because it's subdivided up there about 4 feet off the ground. So again, if you can see, yeah, this is about 5, almost 6 feet tall right to here. And so look at that tree, everybody. And look what's happening now after I cut off all the brown stuff this late summer, early fall. Look at all the back budding. So all of this scraggly bark, it's lovely, but the tree is in not great health. And when I chopped it up, you could almost tell on some of these branches, just kind of how dry, and you're not gonna be able to see it probably here on the camera, but just kind of dry, and it just didn't seem to be as healthy. But look at all the leaves that came anyway. And look at the back bud way down there. And look at the back bud way down there. And look at the huge back bud right there. And there's one there. I can chop this right here and have a 3-inch diameter trunk. Again, I put these in the ground 5, maybe 6 years ago. They're just on the side of my house, and we can put something else there. So we'll see if the lilacs survive after I chop it. So I'm gonna chop this one, this late fall, winterish. We're gonna go chop and see what happens next year. And so if you want a really thick tree someday, and you don't want to grow it in a pot that'll take forever to make it big, like Bill Valvanis. So Bill Valvanis has been growing some of his trees since a seed over 50 years ago. He's been in the business for over 60 years now, and I get to interview him. Actually, I already did interview him. The episode from the road trip is coming up next. It's my time with Bill Valvanis. So I can't wait to go to Nationals next year and bump into him again and all the friends I met along the way on the road trip, and I hope you will go there as well. We're going to go to the Nationals and see that. So here's another willow tree. So it's the bush, right? And this one has a little bit less, but the trunk down there, okay, let me show you a close-up. Yeah, look at that close-up right there, and it's got some movement from left to right. I cut off a couple of those other branches. It splits right there, then it splits up higher. Oh my gosh, so much fun. If you want a thick trunk, keep it in the ground for a couple of years. You'll be so happy afterwards. All right, let's go check out something else. So this is the maple, everyone, that my wife said, hey, Dave, there's a big maple tree under there. We should pull it out. And I said, wait, stop, don't do it. And I've cut this thing twice this year. And look at how thick this tree is becoming. You see down there? Look at this main branch. It splits off there. And so it's only about 2 feet off the ground right now. But we're going to dig this one out next year, perhaps, in the springtime, and start making it as a maple bonsai because it'll already have a pretty thick trunk down there. So keep your trees in the ground, all the little seedlings that fall from neighbors. Maybe you got some Siberian elms in the ground. Keep them and make them into bonsai. It's so much fun. I'll be heading into the greenhouse pretty soon, but before we do that, I wanted to talk about the windows. So earlier this, well, not quite fall yet, but the very end of summer, I did my last and most recent cleaning of the windows. So the windows in the PSGF are pretty clean right now, probably too bright for you to see, but they're pretty clean. But to get them clean, I had to use some vinegar and water to clean them up. So someone in one of my comments said, hey Dave, with those sprinklers on there and using city water, you're gonna have calcium deposits on your window, man. And he was right. And I get these kind of drippy, like cloudy looking substances on my windows, and it's not so pretty. So I take a paper towel, you just put that in the water with vinegar, you put it on your window, let it sit there for a couple of minutes, and then you start rubbing away, and it just takes away all that calcium. So it's a really nice, safe way to clean the windows, and then you can see through them again. So I wanted to show you that too. It's a great tip if you have any glass and anybody's getting greenhouses like I have. That's a good way to keep the glass really sparkling clean. So fall is definitely here. We're pushing November here in less than a week. And the trees are changing, they're getting ready for their fall, winter dormancy, slowing down. We fertilized them hopefully heavily through October here, and we're hoping for a great big push in the spring. I've got people dropping off their trees here and there because I take care of some people trees over the winter months and store them for them in the cold frames. This is my friend Williams, so I got Williams' tree here to sock away. I'll clean up some of the few dead branches that are on here. Might make a few snips on here, but this one's looking pretty fun with the nice, majestic old wood, dead wood here. And this is gonna be fun, but it takes a lot of room to store this one. So we're gonna get it in there as late as I can because it's always hard to get at. And then over there is my wash station. So make sure when you're putting your trees away, whether it's inside your plant room or it's in your cold frame, that you're gonna give them a good spray down for any possible bugs that might have hung in there. Now again, we've been down to about 32, 34 degrees, upper 30s, lower 40s a couple of times. And so a lot of the bugs are probably going like, this is not good for me. But you never can be too safe, right? And so I spray them with a little bit of either neem oil or some horticulture oil. You can use soap and water, and you can use the harsher stuff as well. So a lot of people, when they make this deadwood look nice and old and gray and whitish, yeah, they're gonna be using some sulfur products, right? They're gonna use some lime sulfur, and they're gonna dilute it, and they're gonna color their wood. Well, if you really super dilute lime sulfur, and you put it with water and spray your tree, that's a pretty harsh chemical that's gonna kill most every bug that's on there. Now, I don't have the ratio on the top of my head. I've never used it to spray my trees. So do a little research, but if you have some lime sulfur, you can go ahead and spray your trees before you bring them in for the winter storage in your plant room if it's tropical, or in your cold frames, and kill all those bugs and make everything nice and safe, ready to be tucked away for the winter. So be careful with that lime sulfur though. If you put on too much, you could damage your tree. So make sure you do some research and find that whether it's 40 to 1, whether it's 20 to 1, 30 to 1, 50 to 1, like most of your 2-cycle engines, you know, that kind of oil in an engine. Figure it out before you go crazy spraying. Otherwise, you can use the lime sulfur with a little bit of water and kind of make these nice and old looking. So be careful as you bring your trees in and start doing that bonsai shuffle, which I refuse to do this year, although I'm probably gonna have to, a little bit. So the sun is just behind the pine tree right now, which gives a little bit of dappled light, soon to be behind the house, but now it's a good time to show you some of the trees, because before it was just too bright. And so I have my trees on the bench that can be on the bench. We still have some Japanese maples. Look at these guys that have full green leaves. They haven't even started to turn. I've got this berry bush right here that has a couple of red bushes on there, or red leaves rather. The Cotoneaster, getting a little coloration there with the yellow leaves. Yeah, not much change there with the elm, the Zelkovas, and the larch. Look at that. I was just up north with Toby looking at the larch, and they're past their peak already, but not the trees here in the garden. Another Japanese maple there. This is another Zelkova forest, and there are some maple leaves that are showing some fun color. This is just the maple leaves that come from that guy right up over there, but these are gonna be a forest someday. There's the big one, everybody. Now this one stopped growing months ago. It is the oddest tree of all my trees, and so if I don't do my work the right way in the spring, I'm not going to be able to make a lot of changes later on in the season. Now this fall here, when it's done and I'm going to cut the leaves all off, I will trim these all back and wait for the new buds for the new year, but you don't get a whole lot of tree on this particular crossbreed of a Japanese maple and a more local variety maple. But I got a couple of my boxwoods down there. There's another larch forest down there. Look at that, hardly any color at all yet. Oh, and there is the beautiful red. Now look at how much they pop now without that sun washing out the color, huh? And I got a couple of extra workshop trees. These are some of my experimental pines from Bonsai Acres. I took them out of the ground this year. So right here we've got the white pine, and over here we've got, I think, another white pine, or is this the red? This might be the red. Yeah, so we got red and white. We got a couple of those in the ground at Bonsai Acres. Can't wait to show you that. Ooh, the sun's coming out again. So here we go. Here's the other bench back here. We've got the maple and birch forest right there, super bright back over in the corner. The birch did okay this year, not as many brown leaves as normal, so I must have kept it watered nicely. I'm gonna cut that way back in a couple of weeks. And then the little maple trees are kind of nice and small and cute, but they don't match even close to the size of that. So we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with that design. There's my tree from my good friend Dave Severson back there. That larch hasn't even changed that much. Another large forest. There's the logo forest back there. My little tiny cute little spruce tree. What's the nimble spruce? I can't think of it right now. We got the Candace juniper that's cascading. Isn't that fun? So those are the two workshop trees that I show my workshop folks. There's mine from 3 years ago, and there's Candace's from 3 years ago. And they're looking really nice. And remember the tree that I leaned over and we did that cut? We cut down the whole trunk of that thing with the branch splitter. And so that thing is still showing lots of health. I'm really happy about that. We got a couple of Japanese black pines in there. There's another white pine back there wisping in the sun. And then I've got someone who might be interested in this clump of trees here. We got the Shimpaku forest. I might have a buyer for that one now. All kinds of fun things happening with the trees here in the backyard on the bench. All the leaves are gone in the amber maple. Now you can see how crazy that one is. Look at all those trunks. Yeah, we're gonna have to do some major work on that one next year and get it maybe into a box that I can lift easier and people can see better. All right, so there's those trees on the back benches. Still gonna be out for a couple more weeks. We've got a mild fall going on here, folks. So right in front of the PSGF, I have my trident maple over there on the left. I got the other amber maple sitting right there. Lost most of its leaves. And there's the collected larch forest. Guess what? That one has not fully lost its leaves or gone all golden yellow yet either. So we got a couple more weeks to look at that one and enjoy it. And then Minnesota forest number 2 right there. We've got all our poplars out front. They've lost most of their leaves. I think I have a little bit of fungal issue with those trees too, because those leaves have gotten brown instead of yellow on me this year. So I'm gonna have to do some treatment maybe of that soil and see what's going on. And a couple of the Alberta spruce in the back left and the collected black spruces that came with these when I collected those black spruces right there. So the big forests are looking pretty cool. And who's that guy right over there? A little tiny guy. Yep, that's the bald yeti. Look out for him. Whew! It is hot in here. So we're in the Paso Solar Green Frame and it is 85 degrees and humid in here. These should not go off until, let's see what time we're at. Yeah, they won't go off until 3 o'clock, so we got a few moments in here. It is still warm enough in here during the daytime. Now, we only hit 50s today, maybe 60. It's definitely been cooler, but still 85 in here with the sun. And so it is loaded because all the tropicals had to come here into the PSGF. So any notables to show you? I've got a lot of pieces, parts here. All over the place. I have a whole bunch of these tiger bark cuttings and look at how nice and tall. They've been untouched all year. I'm gonna bring them in the plant room and give them all a nice trim before they start their fall push. We've got my Benjamina variegated forest back here. Now this one's been in the sun and I have to water this thing a lot because it's right down there by the sun. So it's still looking like a decent forest. I have had some dry leaves and fallen off leaves, but this one hasn't seen the outside air all summer. I left it in the PSGF. And I have some question on whether I'm going to do that in the future because I'm not sure I want them in the greenhouse the whole summer, but maybe the shoulder seasons, of course, to get more growth. But maybe get them outside for the more natural air and wind. And that's why I have this fan on here right now. It's one of my infinity fans, and that's on 4 or 5 hours a day to keep the air just moving in here. Now I have the door of the PSGF open too, but this time of year, I don't want to keep that door open too long because I want this heat to be trapped in here. And this morning, though the low was about in the low 40s, it stayed in the low 50s here. So I'm still at about 8 to 10 degrees warmer than it is outside. This is also a fun time of year because there's ladybugs everywhere in Minnesota this time of year. They're just all like flying around. I've got a couple of them climbing on walls right here, so it's pretty cool. Advantageous to eat any bugs that are left on these trees. I'll have to spray these too. Now, the one I'm the most nervous about is my holiday Thanksgiving cactus, and you can't see it, but we've got 50, maybe you can see some of them. We've got 50 or 70 or perhaps 100 blooms on this guy. Now I brought this to workshops and talked it up and is it a bonsai or isn't it a bonsai? But this thing is gonna be beautiful in a few weeks, but I don't think it's gonna wait for Thanksgiving. Usually we wanna put those in a cooler, drier, not much light situation to incorporate the buds. But it's been here in the full sun and warmth and watering like crazy, but the buds are like saying we are so close to ready to pop. So I'm hoping they won't pop till after Thanksgiving or after Halloween here on Thursday. But I think they'll wait till then, but this is a bummer. So I gotta keep in the heat as long as possible. This is one of my tiger bark ficuses that I've brought to workshops as well. This one's put on a lot of growth. I even pruned this one a little bit after the workshop, and it's still pushing out lots of growth. So we're going to put that in the basement plant room here in a couple of weeks as well. But they're going to be out here for at least probably 2 more weeks. Now remember earlier in this episode I was talking about checking your trees and how busy you are, you can't forget. So here's my ficus forest that I planted about a year ago down in the plant room on this flat tray. And look at how wonderful the forest looks, except for those front 2 trees. Can you see the front 2 trees? Yeah, the front 2 trees, toast and toast. Yeah, that is dry as a bone. That one's a goner. And so is that other one. So for whatever reason, I didn't get this one watered soon enough, and these 2 trees are the ones that suffered the consequences. So these are out of the forest, ready for recycling, and we have to maybe put another couple of trees in their place later on. A little bit of weeding here. But the rest of the, oh, here's another one. Bit the dust. Now Tom will tell you, don't throw this away because you just never know when that one might come back. And it is true. I've had a lot of trees come back to life after I thought they were dead. But I've got a whole bunch of tiger bark cuttings. We will make something work with this forest. I'm just glad most of them are alive because again, I've been so busy this year that I quite frankly have not had as much time for my trees as I would like. I also want to show you the Dracaena that my son had from school about 6-7 years ago, and he let me have it, and I've been turning it into a bonsai forest. So these 2 on your left, my right here, these are cuttings from this original one, and this original one has some fun. Look at that curve right there. This, I chopped it right here, but it grew to this side. And this one started growing down at its base. How fun is that? So I have kind of a twin trunk, but now this one curves in, which is a bummer. But then the next leaf is out here. But there are 3. 1, 2, 3. So we'll have to make a decision on that. But these have been just fun to grow. I anticipate giving this back to my son one day when he's a little more settled and he has a place where he can keep it watered and all that good stuff. Because he was just on the road in upstate New York, and I just got to make sure I know where he's going to be before I give him that tree. If you're watching, Tobe, I just spoiled it for you. That tree's going to be yours again someday if you want it. So what else do we got here? We got a whole bunch of Portulacaria afras all up on the ceiling. What else can I show you? I have a couple of my ficus trees that when I just leave them alone, they just start growing, bushing out. These are the narrow leaf ficus. And so I got that big old trunk, and I got a big lollipop top right now. But we'll get that inside the plant room pretty soon, and we'll let that one keep growing. Oh, here's my Ficus triangularis. We still have that big sacrificial branch out here. And there's that tree. And it's thickened up again, and I've cut this one real recently too, so they've loved the conditions in the plant, or in the PSGF, after they loved the partial sun outside. So just a little bit of everything out here. Here's the bridge from Candace, the PA. Look at how out of sorts that guy is, so we're gonna have to trim that up when we bring that one inside as well. And yeah, a lot of these trees I recently acquired and defoliated, these tropical trees, and look at all the growth in the plant room in the last couple of weeks. So super nice, all new leaves. They'll be out here for 2 more weeks, and then we'll get them inside to the plant room and let them go from there. And the last one I'll show you in here is my acacia trees. So Will from the club reached out and said, anybody want some free cuttings of the acacia? So I've got these 2. I had 3, if you recall. You can check this on the playlist of the acacia. And I had 3. These 2 are thriving, starting to get some bigger, thicker branching, like this one right here I love. And it's just shooting out a whole bunch of energy. So we got these things loving life. This is the time of year that I really love the PSGF, because the PSGF has given me so much more growing time than anybody else who doesn't have a greenhouse, right? So most people's tropicals have been in for a week or 2 or maybe even more, because we had a couple of low nights and they just leave them in and don't do the dance or the shuffle, bonsai. But these are out here, and it's going to be November on Friday, and they're going to be out here probably through mid-November before I bring them in. And then all those out there will come in here, and I won't close up windows and make it cooler in here until mid-December at the earliest. So the journey continues with the PSGF. The PSGF has done so well. I'm so excited, and we'll continue to update on you on that as well. And on the bottom is just all kinds of cuttings of PAs, and again, tiger barks and some Green Island ficuses. We are just pushing out the growth, and it just is so nice in here. So on a cold day when I come in here and it's super nice and warm, it's absolutely wonderful. Wow, is that a weed? Holy cow. So last but certainly not least, I'm over by the cabin cold frame. And I'm over here on the left side with a couple of trees that are out here. Jake's tree here with all kinds of color on there and a few berries that almost look like apple trees. We've got some leftover larch from the season that are over here. And then we have a couple of arborvitaes that can really look kind of like a Hinoki cypress, and it's a good tree to practice on for that kind of pruning. And we've got another boxwood over here. There's my scraggly project, you know, the landscape challenge, but it's growing like a weed still because of the weather we've had. And so we're just gonna let that go, and I might do some cleanup on that here in next season when I have more time. Of course, with Bonsai Acres, everybody, do we honestly think I'm gonna be having enough time to do? Well, let's talk about that later. And then the weeping tree from Candace. So as I make way over here, oh, look what I just noticed. This has happened to me once before on a storm. Oh, look. There's another one of my arborvitae trees. It's still green. It's really watered. Let's see if that one survives. So over here we have the weeping tree, the windswept tree, and it's got some pine needles in there from the pine trees above and around the neighborhood. And this is still thick and robust, and we're gonna be, this one up here, we're gonna be able to do some bending on this one in the spring, and we're gonna repot this one in the spring. So a lot going on here in the backyard. I haven't gotten to all my trees as I probably should. I hope I don't lose a ton of trees. But as I mentioned earlier, thinking about what Jonas Dupuis said, and I don't want to just kill trees on purpose, but if I kill a few, I hope they're the ones I don't care about as much. Of course, we all hope for that. And I really have to get to a more manageable size now because Bonsai Acres is going to take a lot of the time. But the trees are looking really good. One last one to show you or two, and then we're going to wrap this up. Another Zelkova forest. Look at how bushy that is again, and it's almost November. We got the barberry, a couple of those suckers growing. We'll see what we keep next year. Another one of the Zelkova forests. One of my original trees from Bonsai Acres that I put in a pot. It's one of the first ones I put in a pot. Don't know what we're gonna do with that one. Now, it didn't shoot out as many buds as I was hoping this year, but we'll see where that one goes next year. And then finally, we've got the last Zelkovas in the pot, that threesome I planted this year. And then the triple trunk there. And then we've got this larch. It's one of the one larches that is really starting to show some great golden color. Maybe by Halloween, this one's gonna just be golden, yellow, golden, orangish color. It'll be just beautiful. I'll take a picture for you. So yeah, the trees are looking great. So as I scan the yard, the PSGF, things really are in pretty good shape. There's been a couple of oopses because I've been busy. So please remember to take some time for your trees. And maybe don't get as many as I have. Keep your collection manageable. Now, I am trying to run a nursery with Bonsai Acres. I am trying to have trees for people. I am trying to have trees for myself. I'm trying to have trees for the club. I'm trying to have things that I can help to provide people to really get psyched about this journey of bonsai. And so I'm gonna be busy. And that's the thing when you're running a small business and when you grow, I still work full-time. I've got my hobby that's full-time, but then my small business hobby is combining, and I just want to spend all my time on that, but I can't yet, right? I can't until I retire as a teacher. But in the meantime, I'm having a blast doing it, and every time I go up to Bonsai Acres, whether I get a lot done or a little done, I'm just in heaven up there, so it's been fantastic. But I can't let go of my trees. So, heed my warnings, try to do as I say, not as I do, and I hope that your trees are in good shape. But we can always improve, right? Even if we're the best of tree givers, you just never know what might happen. Deer might eat them, bunnies might eat them. We might get some disease that we're not sure, even though we thought we took great care of them. But boy, is this journey fun. Is this not fun? I think this journey is a blast. And I thank you as always for watching. I'll try to get more updates on my trees. The plant room update will be coming up soon when all the plants get in there. We'll do a good episode on that and show you where everything is in the tropical world after I just showed you a quick little sneak peek there. And we'll keep you updated. I've got some more road trip videos coming up. Bill Valvanis is just around the corner. Bonsai Acres, I just released one with my dad. Check that one out. And just had Toby up there yesterday and today. It's been so much fun, and the trees, well, they're starting. Everything is starting. It's so wonderful. Hey, thanks for all the continued support, everybody. And if you're interested, I haven't had a couple more people ask about merchandise. Absolutely, if you want to check out the merchandise, it's right on the YouTube channel. Go ahead and buy yourself a shirt. buy yourself a cup, you know, whatever. Go check out some merch. And thanks to all those that have ordered so far. That's been fantastic to see that support as well. Hey, take care of you. Take care of all your bonsai, whether you have 50 or 150. And hey, you know what? We're going to see you on the next one, everybody.